of never giving up on yourself, why persistence always pays off. For those who are new to the channel, my name is Ashley Bloxham. I'm a therapist. I specialise in childhood and trauma. I'm also an addictions counsellor, and I've overcame addiction. I think that qualifies as, but I've studied it right the way up to PhD level. I also know what it's like to have a loved one who's struggling in addiction. So today's topic is the art of never giving up on yourself and why persistence always pays off. So the inspiration for the topic today is, on Wednesday, I received some really nice donations when I was doing my live, and I came away in absolute shock that people had given us money for doing this. But I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about all the times in my life where I've been really tenacious and how that really does pay off. And we think, you know, there's so many times in recovery or mental health where we can sit there and think, I'm just going to give up. I really can't do this. But actually, if you push through and you do it, it's going to lead you to a much better place. So although it's really hard in the moment, there's a future version of you who's going to be really grateful. So as I reflected on some of the times I did that, so I remember when I was doing my studying, I was doing my masters, and my grandpa died a couple of weeks before I had to hand in my dissertation, and I thought I'm still going to do it. I remember I lost a baby the day that I had to do an assignment for another degree, and I had to rewrite the whole assignment because I had lost the assignment whilst losing a baby, and I thought, no, I'm just going to do it. And all these little things, they feel so hard in the moment, but if you just show up, it will pay off in the future. And I am literally living proof that it happens. Addiction recovery, let's talk about it. So fucking hard. Hardest thing I've ever done, and you really do feel like giving up every single day, when in that first 3 weeks especially you feel like giving up. But if you just keep showing up, there's going to be a future version of you which is so fucking grateful that you did it. So just keep showing up and know that it will pay off. It always does. Okay, Baron a Foxhole, hello, how you doing? Morning. So how do we show up when we're in really shitty mental health or addiction recovery and we don't want to? One of the things that you can do is sit there and literally coach yourself through it and say there is a future version of you relying on you picking yourself up and cracking the fuck on right now. Honestly, it really works. That firm, directive, but compassionate coaching really does help you through any mental health and any addiction recovery. And also, the more you coach yourself through your situation, the more you rewire in your brain to have a positive, tenacious, go-getter attitude. So it's going to pay off. Thank you, Kevin. That's really nice to see. Hello to Germany Whites Powder. Hello, Dan Daly. Hazenberg, you can make it through anything. Keep going. Yeah, you absolutely can. Like, literally, you can make it through anything, but it's really hard in the moment. And I think sometimes just saying, like, you are going to get through this too shall pass, can be really helpful. Coach yourself through the shit, guys. It really helps. Austin's Corner, in the School of Addiction, a place to become addicted. No, this is where we've already been addicted, been there, done that. Now just like all gathering together to help each other through it. Right, Bellsbub, speaking of PTSD, I'm easily triggered by people raising their voice, etc. So a good thing to help you with that would be havening or EMDR, but havening's actually a really cool emergent therapy for PTSD. That might be really helpful. There's quite a few different somatic therapies, I would say, especially if you're getting triggered by things like people raising the voice. But yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. Sadogan, how old are you? 37 today. I'm nearly 40 now, for fuck's sake. We are all Charlie Kirk. Who's Charlie Kirk? I'm not Charlie Kirk, I can tell you that for now. My sister's called Charlie, though. Up the tune, aye. Thanks, Kevin. Right, let's see what else. I've managed to go to the top here. Oh, hi, Guy. I can see you here. I don't know where you are. I haven't came across your comment, but I can see you deleting people. There's obviously people being nuisances in the group. I've got some little messers in the crowd. Beelzebub, it's because my parents keep fighting and making me traumatic. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. It's like a fight or flight response that's being triggered. I mean, and if you want to have a one-to-one, we can talk about it. Just go to my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk, and I can get you to the right places which can help you with that. Oh, thanks, Ninja. Cheshi. Are you an actual ninja? Like, what kind of ninja are you? Anthony, are you saved by Jesus? No, I'm not. I don't really believe in Jesus. Well, I just don't have a set belief in anything. But no, Jesus didn't save us. I saved us. I saved myself the good old-fashioned way. Another day, another fool blocked. Aye. Right. One is saying happy birthday. Oh, I've got a few happy birthdays. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. What the fuck? The biggest addiction is coffee. Nobody can quit coffee. It messes up your blood pressure and makes people have mood swings. Yeah, literally drinking it as we speak. I feel like I've kicked enough addictions, so to be honest with you. I enjoy coffee. Yeah, very wild. But also, on the flip side of that, it's actually the biggest source of fibre that Americans get. I mean, I'm sure that is reflected in the UK. It's just the study was in the States. So yeah, it's got antioxidants, so you win some, you lose some. Nikaya, I don't know how you say that. Drugs were fun in my early 20s. I don't understand how people got addicted. Just try it once and don't do it again. Well, the problem is drugs are fun. That's why people get addicted. And if you throw in the fact that they're susceptible to addiction because of underlying mental health disorders, or the fact that they've had like traumas in childhood, that makes you very susceptible. Perhaps you're a highly sensitive person, or you have trauma in later life, then you're more likely to become addicted. And the problem is, it's all fun and games. Everyone's having fun with drugs to begin with. And then it gets to a certain point where some people who aren't as susceptible manage to come off it. And then other people who are like, oh my fucking God, got a problem here. But by that point, you're knee deep. So that's why, yeah. But yeah, they are fun. I mean, look, we're not going to be addicted to something that isn't fun. Like, you're not going to be addicted to something that you absolutely despise. Don't get us wrong, it swings and roundabouts. There's some fun stuff about it. And it certainly gets less fun the more addicted to it you are. But yeah, of course it's fun. And I think sometimes we get like, oh, all drugs are bad. Well, obviously not. Like, obviously it's not all bad, or wouldn't be sat here with a big fucking addiction. Let's be real. King Louise the last. Hey there, what's your favourite kind of cheese? I like cheese. I always ate cheese a lot. Yeah, I used to get called grommet because I like cheese that much, but I'm not as fussed on it anymore. But yeah, I wouldn't say I have a favourite. Oh, Red Leicester. A bit boring. Do like a bit of Red Leicester. I was going to say I don't have a favourite one, but it's fun but not addicting if you do it once or twice a year. Triggers knowing your boundaries. The problem is, most people, let's be real about this, most people who end up with addiction are taking it regularly when they're younger with their peers. So we can have these sensible ideas of like, oh, I'm just going to take drugs like once or twice a year. But the problem is, most people who are developing addictions are developing it when they're younger, when they don't have as many responsibilities. And this isn't just drug addiction, it's alcohol, porn, gambling. We're developing it when we're younger, and you're just doing it all the time with your friends. The problem is, some people then continue to do it when the friends who aren't susceptible to addiction break off from it. So yeah, it's all well and good having sensible ways of dealing with addiction after the fact, but the majority of people are developing their addiction before their frontal lobe's developed. So they've got zero impulse control. They're not thinking sensibly. Like, I don't know anyone under the age of 25 who's a sensible thinker. Let's be real. So yeah, you're just out having fun, not aware that you're going to be the person who in 5 years' time is going to have a fuck off addiction. But yeah, that would be the sensible way. And when I'm looking at prevention with young people, it's always try not to have drugs every time you go out, or alcohol every time you go out. Try and do the 60-40 rule. So you are right in theory. But it's like hindsight's a bitch, isn't it? Jammy Dodger, I'm 37 today. Said how old am I? Monster, saw a study. Oh, you've just disappeared. Where have you gone? Saw a study that showed that kids that enjoy getting dizzy are more likely to get addicted to drugs and alcohol. I haven't seen that study, but it makes sense. I remember Stephen Fry talking about it. But it's wanting to get that dopamine fix. So it's probably linked in with child abuse or ADHD. That's like an educated guess, but I'd imagine so because both those subgroups of people struggle with dopamine, so the parts of the brain to do with dopamine. It's a lot more complex, but things like spinning around, you're getting that little fix. So yeah, I would imagine if either the study showed that or if they delved into it further, that would be findings. Maybe there's some future research there to be had. A bit of coke never hurts, let's be honest. Well, a bit of anything generally is a lot safer than a lot of anything. Let's be real. BD, I had some MDMA for my birthday today. I am jealous. That's what I used to be doing on my birthday. MDMA or ecstasy pills every year. In fact, I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking normally I would be getting absolutely wrecked on my birthday, but the last few years I haven't. A lot more peaceful. I've been on methadone for 10 years. Well, amazing that you've managed to get off heroin, unless you started taking that, but generally, I assume you got off H with methadone. You kind of look like Miley Cyrus. Do I? It's hard to see who you look like in yourself, I'd imagine. Like, it's hard when people say you look like this person, it's hard to see it, isn't it? Is it like one of the expressions or something? Paying bills and saving money are two ends of a rubber band. Yeah, fair play. I'm a seriously educated addiction advocate. Love that for you. What would you say the thing that what's the most I don't know, the biggest psychoeducation for people with addiction that you can offer? Let's hear it. Guy and Elsa, your birthday's on Friday the 13th. Oh, I didn't realise it's Friday the 13th, yeah. Yeah, ours, so 13 is my lucky number. Oh, to be fair though, there's been some fucking annoying shit happening today, actually. Has been a bit of a flop, not gonna lie. But I'm trying to pay attention to the positives. I've been using it as an excuse to just focus on the blessings, not on the fucking annoying shit that's been happening. Honestly, start to finish. Methadone saved my life. Yeah, I absolutely imagine it. My friend, she used methadone to get off heroin. Yeah, so I love that for you. My music, Gen X, you're better looking than Miley. Not even close. Thank you. That's a compliment. They wouldn't sprout last year. What wouldn't sprout last year? Thank you, Jason. That's nice to see. 1L, what you get planned for your birthday today? Thank you for doing a video today. Oh, you're welcome. I just try to commit. Just got to show up, don't you? So I'm actually going for a meal with my friends soon, and I'm going to go see my Auntie Sue, who's in hospital, bless her. So it's her birthday tomorrow, and she's cracked her pelvis. So I'm going to go see her on the way back from dropping my son off. So like I say, used to do pills and fucking have a mint old time, and now I'm going to visit older relatives in the hospital. Getting on the bus to drop my son off. Wild. Dan Green, if it wasn't for methadone, I wouldn't be alive today. Yeah, I have some people I had some people who say, like, try to say that, like, medical assisted addiction recovery is like cheating. It's like, get real. Fucking anybody who manages to get off heroin is absolute warrior. And I watched my friend use methadone. It's fucking awful dropping off it. The biggest factor in getting clean is desiring to get clean. Yeah, you have to have that desire. You have to. because there's no way you're going to be able to go through the absolute battle that it is. Like, it's going to war against addiction. You can't do that if you don't have the desire. Like, this is where that some people are like, come on the channel, and I used to have the same belief of, what do I do with my loved one who's struggling in addiction? Like, how do I get them to stop? You don't get somebody else to stop, because there's no fucking way in hell somebody's going to be able to do that and go through that without, like, thank you, Guy. Sorry, I just saw Guys just went and give us money there. That was very cute. But there's no way you're going to be able to get somebody else to stop and get them to go through that fight, because it's too big. They've got to want to do it themselves. So absolutely. Thank you, Guy. I only found out that people could do that the other day, and I was pretty beside myself when someone did it. So thank you. Chassit, the people you surround yourself with are a main factor. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, one of the a common theme that I had to go through, that I've seen a lot of people have to go through, especially in drug addiction, I would say more so, is the fact that when you're coming off addiction, half the time you are gonna have to walk away from people, because they're just walking, talking triggers. And look, I've been sober for 4 years now, like clean off ketamine. I'm an addictions counsellor. I've done so much work on myself. I genuinely do believe that I've closed that chapter in my life. But I couldn't sit there with somebody in front of us sniffing ketamine. I just couldn't. And part of me being sober is knowing that I can't do that. And you do get to a point where you have to choose, is it me or is it them? Yeah, but it is a big factor. I would say one of the good things about drug addiction, and there's very few silver linings of drug addiction, but one of the silver linings is it is easier to remove yourself from it. You know, it's easier to delete dealers and stuff like that. And I do feel for people who are in alcohol addiction or gambling addiction, where it's advertised everywhere. It is really hard. And as somebody who's quit alcohol, you have to learn to stay strong when you've got triggers left, right and centre. So that is hard. His saying over 90% relapse rate in the first 6 months for opioid addiction. Yeah, and that's consistent with I think it varies on research, but it's up to 85% of people relapse in the first year of coming out of rehab. My brain went blank there. Yeah, and it makes sense, because I think one of the things is the majority of people who are getting rid of addiction, I genuinely believe just focus on removing the addiction. And if you're not addressing the reason why you were addicted in the first place, and you're not working on self-love, all the ways, things which are keeping you stuck, like boundaries for a lot of people, regulating your nervous system, emotional regulation, you are more likely to relapse. Because the thing is, addiction is, and I say it all the time, but I'll keep saying it, addiction is self-medication. So if you remove the medication, like the crutch, without addressing what you're medicating, you're going to really struggle, and then you're more likely to reach back for it. So yeah, it makes sense. His Gummy Skull, awesome warrior, good channel. I always say warriors, you're all warriors if you're in addiction recovery. Definitely. Modern day warriors. It's fucking hard. I think just being a fucking human being is hard. Like, it really is. No wonders why addiction and mental health is rife. Seg is saying, I'm 2 years clean off alcohol. I love that for you. What's your top tip for people who are still struggling, who might be listening? Scott, this is a racist. Why you reading my comments? It's because I'm white. So there's that many comments, I don't say them all. I just have a little scroll and pick some. Feldmanic, I think you're quite attractive, but we shouldn't hang out because I don't want to fall in love. I'm here for the conversation. Yeah, I think that's wise. Let's just stick to the conversation. I have one addition. Can you help me? One addition of what? I'm addicted to good vibes. What should I do? I feel like lap them up. I'm addicted to good vibes as well. Cannot get enough good vibes. Luke is saying, I've stopped drinking since COVID. It triggers me going on a bender. Yeah, that would be a trigger. Absolutely. Paul, she's not going to read the comments. She likes the sound of our voice. Oh. I read yours there. It's just potluck, whichever I'm coming across. MJK, yes, avoiding triggers is important. Exactly, stay strong. I'm an IOP, intensive outpatient treatment now, and it's working. It's taken a few months to feel strong and more confident. I love that for you. Yeah, and like this is what I was talking about before, MJ. Like it's working on feeling strong and confident. We really need to work on our confidence and our self-love, like for addiction recovery to be sustainable. We really do, because you've got to love yourself so much that like that isn't something that you would do to yourself. And you've got to love yourself so much that you're building up a lush life that you wouldn't risk it for addiction. Or you have such a good relationship with yourself that you wouldn't risk that for addiction. And I get a lot of people come on my channel who debate the fact that once an addict, always an addict. But I genuinely believe that if you learn to love yourself and you learn to like love life and like build up a life that's amazing, you're not going to risk that for addiction. You might think about it, but you're not going to risk it. And like we've spoken on the channel today about getting rid of people. Like if you love yourself so much, you're not going to be risking your recovery, like your precious little life, on somebody who's still in active addiction. Like you're going to find it easier to make the choice of like, I deserve better than risking addiction. Mohammed is saying, I subscribe to your channel, kindly reply. Yeah, thank you for subscribing. If anyone could give us a subscribe, that's a super free way to help the channel. Look, if anyone's got any comments that I'm missing in the channel, I always say go to my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk. I will answer your comments. Also, I offer free one-to-ones if you're struggling, so I don't want you listening thinking, oh, she's ignoring us and I want some support. I'm not getting it. Please just go to my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk. I do get back to everyone. Sometimes it takes a hot minute, but I will. But yeah, I get like over 1,000 comments, so it's hard for us to reply to everyone's comment. I do my best. Right, I'm just going to scroll about, get some comments at random. I've seen that. I do that all the time. I'll scroll around and then the one I stop on is the one I've already bloody read. Right, Paul, she's not going to read the comments. Oh, see, I've read that one. I've read it. Also, a bit of a prick. I've read his comment twice. Rajesh, Ashley, how are you? I'm doing good, thanks. MJ, not overly confident, but every day is stronger and stronger. Nice to trust in oneself and shine again. Yeah, do you know what it is? You might not be overly confident now, MJ, but anything that you practice at, you will get good at. And confidence is a skill. Like, it really is. I was hating myself. I felt like shit. I had fake confidence. But getting genuinely confident in myself was just practicing day in, day out. So I spoke earlier on about coaching yourself. Coach yourself through stuff. So be your own cheerleader. For me, I was my own counsellor. If maybe you want to be your own coach, but adopt this role and just coach yourself through life, or be your own counsellor and your own cheerleader, and you will eventually start to adopt that mindset. Hi, Samita, Afghanistan. How are you doing? Truth hurts saying, I think what helps is not saying you'll never do drugs again. So if you break it, you won't be so hard on yourself. Yeah, that is true. I think it's like, so for me, what I did was hard and fast rules. So I'm like, okay, there might be a situation which is like so quite unattainable where I might do drugs. And it's not, it's like I might. And I did find that easier. There's a name for it, it's escaped us. There's a counselling, like an addiction theory around that, but basically it's this idea that if we're so strict on ourselves when we fall off the wagon, then we moralise it, we feel a lot of shame around it, and we're more likely to continue in the relapse. So it's really important that if we do lapse, that you don't beat yourself up. You think of it like, okay, that's a lesson. Like, I've learned there was a trigger. What's the trigger? Pick yourself up, use it as a data point, and let's make sure we don't do it again. We'll learn from the lesson. Fighting the urges is graft, Luke's saying, especially around people that's still about that life. Yeah, and you have to remove yourself from that life. That's what I was talking about, if you can. Because it is, people are walking, talking triggers. Like, I could not be in a group of people who's struggling in addiction and still be sober. I just couldn't. And I know that because I got sober. And so I got sober when I was pregnant. And I relapsed. Being around people in active addiction, I relapsed whilst pregnant. I then got sober when my son, the night, like the literal day I gave birth, I relapsed within 6 weeks because I was around people who struggle in addiction. And then it's again the same. And like, I literally had to make the decision that I've got to remove these people from my life. There is no way I can be a sober mom, clean off drugs, being around people who still are in active addiction. I just can't. AJ, the drugs are not the problem, it's the people that are the problem. Fix the people is why and what we use drugs for. Yeah, absolutely. And look, I've been on a 7-year commitment to fixing myself. Like, not that I was broken, maybe fix isn't the right word, but like working on myself. Like a commitment to just learning to feel comfortable in my own skin and like learning to love life. And yeah, just a day in, day out commitment to that. I love how much everyone's just giving people giving top tips for addiction today. Love it. Keep them coming. Chastity is saying, find one thing you really love with a passion and build on that. Keep nurturing and growing. Don't let anything persuade you away from love. Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was this. When I came out of my addiction, I started working on my business. So I haven't done this the whole time, but it was around like my counselling, my private practice. So I started working on that and like developing things. I've just quit vaping, and the thing that I've lent into that I love is jiu-jitsu. I am fucking obsessed with it. So like something that you love and just distract yourself with that. And the thing is, if you start pouring energy into something that you love, you'll start to progress in it. Even if you're already really good at it, you'll still see progression. And the thing with that is, if we're in addiction, we're progressing downhill. And you will see the progression of you going downhill. If you come out of addiction and you start to focus on something you love, you will progress uphill. And it'll start to motivate you to continue going uphill. That becomes addictive. Saying this while smoking a joint is gold. But not every substance is abuse. Love that for you. Look, to be honest with you, I always say this on the channel, I'm not here to moralise drugs. If you can smoke weed and you enjoy it, it's not classed as an addiction. Addiction is a problem that you want to stop, that you can't stop. So yeah, enjoy your joint. At least you're one of the people who are lucky enough to do that. But like, I know people who have really fucked up their life on weed, so it's all subjective, but love that for you. Rajesh, his divine shadow that can be a possibility, but reality. Oh, wait, I can't read this. But really, you can find drugs everywhere these days. It's an epidemic here in opioids in North India. Yeah, you can find them. Look, you absolutely can, but you can also remove yourself from people. So like, for instance, it's my birthday, I'm going out tomorrow with my friends. Like, it's because I don't drink, that every time that I go out, it's a battle of like, am I gonna have a drink, am I not gonna have a drink? Do you know what I mean? So like, whereas I don't have to have the battle of, am I gonna have a line of ket, because I'm not hanging around people who were putting ket in front of me face. Ketamine was my addiction, by the way. So do you get what I mean by that? It's always going to be hard, but I just feel, and alcohol is just everywhere. Like you see it everywhere. It's advertised everywhere. Same with gambling. So yeah. Yes, anxiety is my addiction. I would say it's more of a habit. Anxiety, if you think of it like anxiety is your fight or flight response. And what can happen is our bodies do things automatically. It's great at just saving energy and doing things automatically. So the thing with anxiety, if you think of it like you're hitting a button. It's like a fight or flight button, and it's almost like your body and your brain's got used to just hammering the button. So what you need to learn to do, if you think of anxiety like your body's accelerators, it's getting ready to fight or it's getting ready to flight, like run away from, exit the situation. If you think of that like your body's accelerators, what you need to do is hit your body's brakes and learn how to do that. And it's somatic stuff. So there's a lot of ways that you can hit the body's brakes. Just little things like relaxing your body throughout the day. So like it's a biofeedback loop. If your body's relaxed in a state of like not tense, not ready to like fight or flight, it signals to your brain like, actually, I'm safe. It's all cool. It's all good in the hood. So learn to relax your body. The other thing is to do some deep breaths. So in anxiety, we'll have shallow breaths because we're getting oxygen to the brain, to the muscles. So the opposite of that, the inverse, is do breathing out longer than you're breathing in and slow and steady. So just practice doing that regularly throughout the day and you'll learn to just calm your nervous system. The other thing as well, so anyone who knows my channel knows I'm like obsessive jiu-jitsu, but I just saw a study yesterday which said that people who practice jiu-jitsu or martial arts, it was particularly on jiu-jitsu, I feel like it would be you could broaden out to martial arts, they actually have got much better control over their amygdala. And your amygdala is the same thing that basically releases all of the chemicals which make you feel like you're in a state of anxiety. So the reason why that is because you're learning to calm yourself under threat. And anxiety is a response to a perceived or actual threat. So maybe do something like that as well. But even cold showers, that does the same thing. So any stressful situation on the body that you have to breathe and regulate through will help you learn to like control your anxiety. Kirk said, this guy who uses drugs told me that methamphetamine is no different to drinking coffee. So I was on slow release methamphetamine for ADHD and I drink coffee and it does have a similar effect. I've got to say very different. But yeah, I can get that because it's a stimulant. So yeah, but it's one of those things. So the thing with methamphetamine is there isn't any benefit to it. With coffee, it's an antioxidant and it's a source of fiber. So there are benefits from drinking coffee. If you can drink like decaffeinated, because it's actually the caffeine which is the stimulant, not the coffee. So if you are wanting to switch, and look, I'm not going to pretend to be a goody two-shoes who doesn't drink coffee. That is not me. I've quit enough addictions in my life. But if you do want to switch coffee, switch over to decaffeinated coffee. So there's a bit of caffeine, not much. And you can just, like any addiction, you can slowly but surely do it. So just put like a quarter of a spoon of decaffeinated and slowly wean yourself off and like do the switch over. And then you're still getting all the benefits of caffeine, but not the downside. But I've got to say, I love coffee and that is not me. So I'm being a bit hypocritical. Brandify. No, meth is like a shotgun blast, the mind stimulant. It's not coffee at all. Yeah, it's the same family. It'll have the same impacts on the brain. So I get what, I can't remember who said it, is saying. Like it will have the same, it'll release the same chemicals that you do. It's a stimulant. But exactly like Brandify said, meth is like a shotgun blast to the brain. Coffee's a much lower level. So yeah. A lot of people who've had addiction end up moving over to coffee. I've got ADHD, so for me, I was on slow release methamphetamine, but I've ended up switching to coffee, so I don't use that for my addiction anymore, but I do use coffee. It's not my addiction, my ADHD. So yeah. Jeremiah is saying most basic things are simple as fuck, but people make them difficult. What thing are you saying is difficult? So silly, I don't know what your name is, just got it called, well, silly. Don't be daft. Who of sound mind would take a cold shower? Sod that, or wouldn't be arsed. Well, somebody who's struggling with anxiety, if you're struggling with anxiety, taking cold showers is really good. Like, you're putting your body through stress and then learning to regulate through it. It's your body's learning to manage stress. It doesn't matter what kind of stress it's learning to manage. It's strengthening the connections to manage stress, and it's dampening the stress response in your body. So it is really good if you've got anxiety and you're struggling to, like, as a therapist, we focus a lot on the mental stuff. So come to therapy and we'll talk about your problems. How does that make you feel? And all this crap. It is helpful, but it's not addressing the fact that your stress usually gets triggered in the body first. So you've got, like, in your brain, you've got an alarm system, and that's why you produce noradrenaline, but you also produce adrenaline in the body, and it's usually the body which perceives the fight or flight, like the threat first, and triggers the fight or flight. So you need to do somatic healing, stress management. Right. Let's see. 363. I need help with sex addiction. Can you give me advice? My car seats are taking a lot of damage. If you're being serious, I don't know if you're taking the mic there, but if you are being serious, anybody who's struggling with addiction, like, I do free one-to-ones where we can just hash it out, and I can also, if you need further support, signpost you. Just go to my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk. It's also on my YouTube channel page. Oh, thank you, AK Gaming. Young Tips, I love hash. Yeah, I used to prefer hash than weed, not gonna lie. Weed used to send us fucking west, honestly. But yeah, like I always say, not here to judge drugs. Right, let's see what... I'm just gonna scroll around at random because I've got a lot of comments today. What do the framed piece of paper say about you in the background? Colorado, they're just me qualifications, because I had people questioning me credentials in the beginning. I always say I think the fact I've overcame addiction is the biggest credential. But I've got 2 counselling degrees. One's an FDA, one's a joint honours, and I've got a master's in addiction and criminology. MJ saying happy birthday, thank you. I appreciate that. So you teach addiction and don't know the cons of coffee. You say it's beneficial, but that's institutional talking points. Have you been down the rabbit hole of information on this topic yet? No, I haven't. I didn't do 2 degrees, counselling degrees on coffee. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's get real. I was doing it on how to support people. But yeah, I just like coffee. I have read research on coffee. There are benefits to coffee. It's caffeine, which is the issue, not coffee. So like, coffee has a lot of benefits. It's really good for the gut microbiome. It's an antioxidant. So look, I get what you're saying, that there's negative things, but like, if you look at any research, like, any research is going to say there'll be arguments for and against. There's very little things that you don't have for and against arguments in research. Do you know what I mean? So like, yes, coffee is bad, but I've also got people who are struggling with heroin addiction on my channel. I feel like coffee is the least of the worries. Certainly is mine, as somebody who had a ketamine addiction. So like, just trying to keep it real, guys. Oh God. Right. A cup or 2 of coffee is even good for the liver. There we go, MK. I'm addicted to playing TV themes tunes on my wood saw. Play it and mean Coronation Street. I love that for you. That is a mint addiction. What other weird addictions have I got on the channel? Caffeine is just as bad, literally. Like, it's heroin. Get real, man. Come on. Some people. Right, Beelzebub. I'm addicted to working out, and I think I have body dysmorphia. So that makes sense. And there's a lot of people, men especially. I'm not saying you're a man, but I have a lot of men on my channel. But there's a lot more people, like men, coming out with body dysmorphia, and it's linked in with working out. So Beelzebub, if you want to have a one-to-one, you can, absolutely. And also I've done a podcast on this of all different ways to help out with that. But yeah, do you want to do a one-to-one? We can talk about it. But one of the things, so if people are struggling and they're looking in the mirror and they're struggling with that, this is something that I used to do really bad. I used to look in the mirror and I used to put myself down all the time. And one thing I noticed, so when my weight fluctuates quite a lot, because I've got bipolar, and when I had more weight on it, I used to put myself down and say, like, I hate my belly and thighs, like, horrible to myself. And when I used to lose weight, I used to say I hate my bum and my boobs. So one thing I clocked is it doesn't matter what weight I am always looking in the mirror and picking on the worst things about myself. So I started like doing an experiment of flipping the script. So I started to look at the things that I like at myself. Like, I made a rule, when I look in the mirror, I am not allowed to look at something that I don't like about myself and point it out. I've got to instead point out some things that I do like about myself. So instead of, because I was weighty at the time, instead of looking at myself in the mirror and saying I hate my thighs and my belly, look at my boobs and my bum that I hate when I'm thin, and compliment them. Like, you've got a banging massive rack, a big bum, like mint. And I started doing it with my face as well, so I hated my skin. So instead of looking at that, I'd look at my smile in my eyes and start complimenting myself. And I literally did this for, I think it was about 20 days. I can't remember exactly. And I remember, like, I was practicing it every day, and someone phoned us up and they were talking about how somebody else had called us fat. And honestly, they were saying how my thighs were really big, and it honestly, like, shattered us. I felt so shit because they were saying, like, how I've put on weight and my thighs are massive. So anyways, that day felt crap. The next morning, I woke up, looked in the mirror, did my practice of, like, you look mint, look at how curvy you are today, complimented myself. And it was this out-of-body experience. I was like, oh my God, you literally got called fat yesterday, and you've woke up today and looked at yourself in the mirror and loved yourself. So it's something that you can practice, and it does help with body dysmorphia. But I've got loads of things on a podcast I did that you can, like, little tips that might help you. And also I'm happy to do a free one-to-one with you where we can, like, come up with, like, a few different things that'll help you with that. Let's see what other people are saying. I'm addicted to food, probably painkillers due to long-term chronic illness. That makes sense. And smoking cigarettes. I have a very addictive personality. I can't even stand my daily routine not being the same. Catherine Proctor, that makes sense. Is it with you saying, like, you need your daily routine being the same? Is there, like, anything like autism going on underneath? Because that might also, or, like, yeah, is there anything else going underneath, like a mental health disorder? Because that can be part and parcel of it, and it can actually be impacting the addiction as well. And I think it's really important, if we've got addiction, to address any underlying mental health disorders, because they can mean that the route to recovery is different, and they can be inhibiting recovery as well. Tocken, when were you born? I was born 86. Just curious if you're a similar age. Yeah, I am. I was born in 89. I'm an 80s girl. I was born in the 80s. The 80s. Right. No diagnosis of autism, but I have a lot of ADHD signs. Yeah, that makes sense. I do have depression and anxiety, though. Yeah, I mean, Catherine, if you want to have a one-to-one, we absolutely can. Like I keep saying, if you weren't on, just go to my website, schooladdiction.co.uk. But yeah, that makes sense. Addiction, the research I've read is that you're 50% more likely to have a drug addiction. That's just drugs, let alone, other addictions. If you have ADHD. Tripper, 80s babies. Yeah, have I got any 80s babies in here? Have I got any Pisces as well? Probably, there's a lot of lads on the channel. I probably don't care if you're a Pisces or not. Right, what would you say to an alcoholic? What would I say to an alcoholic? I would just say that, like, I'm just so sorry that you're going through it. I'm just, like, I honestly, I do genuinely believe that alcoholism is one of the worst addictions to go through. I do, and I'll just say I'm so sorry that you're going through that. And to quote Gabor Mate, but I fully agree, I would just say not anything about the addiction, but like why the addiction, what happened that led you to that point. I saw this really sad video on Instagram, and it was this emergency service. It was like an ambulance, somebody in an ambulance, and there was somebody who was struggling with alcohol addiction. They were absolutely like out of their mind, and the person in the ambulance was being really judgy and going like, why are you doing this to yourself? And kept like saying it, and then he turned around and he said, today's me anniversary with my wife, and he went on to tell the most traumatic story about his wife who died. And it said underneath, don't ask why aren't you stopping the addiction, ask why did you start the addiction in the first place. So that's what I would say. Thomas, I asked you to kindly apologise to us on behalf of all Scots. As Scots stole my wallet, I at least deserve an apology. Mate, I'm not Scottish. I'm not Scottish. Like, I'm not apologising on behalf of jocks, although I will defend them. I've never met a bad jock, so I think you've hit that's been very unlucky. Sham, how you doing? Yeah, I'm gonna pin that. So Sham's saying subscribe to the channel. Yeah, subscribe would be really helpful to the channel, and it does support the channel because I do help people in active addiction for free. So it's a super free way you can help us and help other people in addiction. But yeah, if you can also, if you want any free support, go to schooladdiction.co.uk. I've just pinned that comment. How you doing, Sham? Yeah, 363 since she's from Newcastle with that accent. Yeah. I'm not, and that's not even my country, guys. I'm not apologising for a different country. Rajesh, where do you live? I live in Durham. It's just right next to Newcastle, and it is 10 to 11. Oh, Token, I'm Sun, Leo, Moon, Gemini, so I can be a bit bipolar, but I'm great fun and I can talk your ears off. So all my chart is like Pisces and Gemini. And like I had this friend who were like, do I actually have mental health disorders, or is it just my star sign? Because both Geminis. But yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm Pisces, Pisces rising and Pisces sun though. Right, let's see what other people are saying. Any idea of the percent of success rate of AA, i.e. sober after 5 years through this program? One, I've never done. I have been to NA. I went briefly, but I ended up getting pregnant and stopped. And then I ended up like losing the baby and relapse, and that was the last thing I wanted to do. So I've only been briefly. I didn't have a sponsor, so I've got very limited personal experience of it. I did look into it for my PhD around the research, but to be honest with you, I can't remember the statistics, and it did drop off in the amount of years. Like all addiction, like the success rate, obviously there's like a kind of a peak. So in the first year, you have quite a low success rate, but obviously it does tend to go up the success rate the longer that you get sober, which is promising. But I can't remember if I read research around it or what the research was, to be honest with you, so I don't want to comment. What I will say is that there's a low success rate in the first year of addiction recovery, and you know, to make sure that you're in the smaller percentile of that, it's really important that you don't just rely on removing the drug. You know, willpower alone will not work. You need to learn to love yourself. And I say it all the time, but start to learn to regulate your nervous system. You know, there's going to be a time in life where shit's going to hit the fan, something awful's going to happen, and you are going to sit there and you're going to say, I want to use again because I feel shit. And if you are learning to regulate your nervous system, you're learning the art of metacognition, which is observing your thoughts and your emotions as opposed to just unconsciously being swept away by them. If you're learning that, by the time you get to that point where you get triggered, you're going to have a much better ability to sit there and say no. You know, I've just went through myself, like I've just went through a really shit time where, you know, like I could have, like, I just could not long quit alcohol. I don't have a particular reason to not drink alcohol. Like, it's not that that was my drug of choice. But I've just went through like a shit time, and I could have just went out and got pissed and like mortal drunk because that's what an old version of me would have done. But I just thought, nah, I just regulated and said no. And that's because I've practiced regulating my nervous system that much. I've got control over my thoughts. My thoughts don't control me. So I think it's less about the success rate or the entry point to addiction recovery, because AA isn't the only way. You can do SMART meetings. I did it solo with a good group of friends. So it's less about the percentage in the entry point. It's more about what are you doing in that time? Are you just removing the addiction, or are you ensuring that you don't relapse by doing the inner work? So yeah, that's my answer to that. Chris is Cassidy is saying Facebook is awful for temptation. Only seeing the good times and not the bad in everyone's lives. It makes self-seclusion and acquiring a relapse much more easy. So Facebook is also an addiction. Social media is, like, it really is. And the thing is, yeah, it is. And I think we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people. They're just like, compare yourself to yourself. That's what I was thinking. I was trying to think, like, I like to compare myself to the person I was last year, or, you know, like I'll go through something difficult, or I'll do something amazing, or I'll push myself to do something that is like scary, and I'll stop and I've learned to like reflect on stuff. It's really, really good to stop and reflect on stuff. And I'll always say to myself, like, God, like the earlier version of you could never have smashed this the way that you're smashing it. Like, this was hard, but actually you've handled it a lot better than you would have handled it a year ago or 2 years ago. Or like, that was so fucking scary, and like an older version of you wouldn't have had the balls to do that. So compare yourself to a previous version of yourself. It's much healthier and it builds self-esteem. Other people, like, everybody just gives a front. Nobody wants to sit there and say, like, look at the fucking state of my house. Look at this fucking time I just lost me shit with my own child. Look how shit of a parent I am. God's sake, nobody wants to do that, so let's not pay attention. Take it with a pinch of salt. Vibes, I compare myself with The Rock. Do you mean like, what's his name? Chris Johnson. Is it Chris Johnson? Is that the name? What the fuck's The Rock called? Can't remember. No such thing as addiction. It's pretty much just a case of, oh, I should probably stop indulging in this sort of behaviour, but I like doing it too much, so I won't. Be an adult and get on with it. Okay. I mean, look, I'm going to say, like, you seem like somebody who's been really lucky in life where you haven't had to go through addiction. So I love that for you. I absolutely disagree. All the research would disagree. And yeah. But yeah, I love that you've not had to go through that, because it's very obvious you haven't, or you wouldn't be saying that. Catherine Proctor, what if the previous version of you had so much going and you can't see that now? That's a good point. But do you know what it is, Catherine Proctor? It is so easy to show up when times are easy. It's so easy to be kind when you're feeling high on life. It's so easy to give stuff when you've got lots of stuff to give. But like, it's not easy to be a kind person when you're drowning and like you feel like shit. It's not easy to show up every day and get out of bed and continue when you feel like you're getting kicked left, right, and centre from life. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not easy to keep putting one foot in front of the other when you've got fuck all going for you, and continue to try and get, you know, pick yourself up and try and get by in life. So, Catherine, I would say to you, like, yeah, it was, yeah, you did have loads going for you, maybe, but like, look at you now. You're actually showing up for yourself when it's so much harder, and that's something to be proud of. And that's where grit and determination is born, and that's where you find out who the fuck you are, Catherine. It really is. So like, yeah, do compare yourself to that version that had it easy, because life was bliss, and it's easy to just float through bliss. It's not easy to fucking swim in a storm. Yeah, Cassidy's saying, Catherine, that part of you, that part is still a part of you. Just keep going, keep swinging. Yeah, do. Keep swimming. And honestly, you'll get back to that version of yourself if you keep putting one foot in front of the other. But I tell you what, you'll be meeting that version of yourself with so much better qualities. You'll be meeting with resilience, and you'll be meeting yourself with just pride. Like, I used to have a lot going for us, and then I was humbled to fuck by addiction. I've never been so humbled in my entire life. And I had to pick myself up out of the depths of hell. Honestly, it was so hard. I have so much empathy for people in addiction because I did it. It was awful. And I had to put one foot in front of the other. It wasn't easy. And now I'm like that version of myself, but I trust myself. I back myself. I'm my own best friend. I'm resilient as fuck. I'm the strongest person I know, except for my friend Barbie. She's pretty fucking goddamn strong. Yeah. And like, so Catherine, I know it's really hard, and absolutely do have a one-to-one with us if you want to, but just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Talking, addiction can start by overindulging, but it's normally a side effect of using drugs to regulate your feelings. If you haven't experienced it, then I can understand why you don't say it. Yeah, it is. It's normally, so the majority of time it's to do with regulating trauma, like undiagnosed mental health disorders or trauma. Oh, Nico, thank you so much for that donation. That's so lovely. I really do appreciate it. It happened, it was the first time the other day, and I was absolutely like beside myself, and like, it's so lovely that you're doing that. Thank you. So Nico's saying, I could stop drinking with this accent in my life. Do a free one-to-one. Well, it's not free, you've just given us $20. Cash in on your $20, get your money's worth. But if you want to have a one-to-one, you can, but just thank you so much. And also, it's really helping because I do one-to-ones with somebody else, so you're essentially helping somebody else in addiction. So thank you. Jaws, surrender. I believe lasting freedom with addiction must start with genuine step. Faith, neuroscience, and support are all invaluable tools to maintain. I've got to say, like, that was my approach to addiction recovery. I do think, though, with faith, it doesn't need to be, I'm spiritual. It doesn't need to be spiritual or religious. You can just have, like, if you're thinking about faith, it can be faith in humanity. Faith in the fact that, like, it is insane that I am here on planet Earth. Like, the miracle that life is. Like, if you look at evolution, and, like, yeah, I want to enjoy that. I want to try and maximize on that. So just having faith in life is helpful. And from a neuroscientific standpoint, it's helpful because we produce a load of concoction of good feel-good endorphins when we have faith. Don't spend that money on drugs. Don't fucking worry. I will not be. I will not be. Right. Surrender. Oh, I've said that one. I do this all the time. I scroll about to try and give everyone a fair chance of getting the message read, and then I'll just read the same one comment 3 times. Right. Let's see. so many people that are ignorant about the science of addiction. Yeah, the thing is, it's like, look, I get it, because the thing is, a lot of people have been affected by addiction negatively. You know, I always say at the beginning, like, I know it's like to be in both arenas of being an addict and also having loved ones who struggle in addiction, and both of them are fucking horrible. Like, so I get why some people are like, have this just change, why can't you? I used to have that opinion until I went through addiction myself. And also, look, policy is we've got the war on drugs, like, in the West. Like, policy is creating rhetoric around addiction, which is laced in stigma, so it makes sense that the average person is. But yeah, there is so much science in addiction that really does debunk this narrative of just change, or addiction is just like, you can choose addiction. Like, yeah, you can choose to stop, but like, that choice is so fucking hard, and it's not a choice to have addiction. Like, that's not a choice. It's for most people, I mean, Gabor Mate actually describes it as an inevitability, because if you think of it like this, like, it's fate, not from a spiritual woo-woo sense, but like the experiences that you've had that will lead you to addiction, because you've had the right storm, the perfect storm for addiction. Maybe you've had trauma, maybe you've got undiagnosed mental health disorder, so you've got a genetic predisposition to addiction, and then maybe you've had a group of friends when you were young and didn't have a developed frontal lobe that took drugs, like the majority of kids today, and then you've ended up taking drugs and had an addiction. Molotov, the war on drugs has failed for 200 years, but suggests something else and they call you crazy. Yeah, it just misfires at the fucking wrong people. It misfires at the people it's supposed to be protecting. Yeah, my master's was on basically addiction and the policy around it. It's shit. It's really shit. But then, to be fair, you know, decriminalisation's worked in Portugal. It's worked in very little other countries. And then on top of that, we've got the legalisation, and what they've found now, they've been legalising weed in a lot of states in the US, is actually it's increased people using weed. So like, the thing is, as much as the war on drugs is fucking shit and it's causing more harm than good, and they've repeatedly proved that, there isn't an alternative policy which is really working other than what they've done in Portugal, and they haven't been able to replicate that. And I do think a lot of it's to do with funding and execution. But yeah, I think the thing is, we have to invest in prevention, which is looking at helping people heal. Like, people are stressed out about, people like kids are traumatized because parents are traumatized. Like, we need to address mental health. If we address mental health, we make lives easier for parents, and the next generation's less likely to be addicted. It's top and bottom of it. And Miguel's saying, get a job. Thank you. I mean, each their own. Catherine Proctor, I think if we look back at our entire life, you can usually find something you've used to try to cope or even hide from for life. Even things like casual sex, relationships, drinking, food, doom scrolling. I put my hands up. I know when I'm doom scrolling a lot, it's because I'm stressed out. It really is. Like, anytime I fancy, like, I start thinking about, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Any addiction thing, it's because I'm stressed out. But yeah, everybody's addicted to something. Oh, thank you, MJ. Appreciate that. Thanks, Victoria's. So I'm gonna do one more comment I'll read, and then I'm gonna go. It's my birthday, so I'm gonna go meet my friends and have a lovely meal instead of getting wrecked like I used to. Nice little boring birthday day out. Tuckin Bird, she has a job. She is a drugs and addictions counsellor mug. Yeah, I am a therapist, and I had a private practice. And I was a single parent, and I was going through a lot. I was also on ADHD meds, and it basically didn't realise that I had underlying bipolar. So I ended up triggering a psychotic episode, got sectioned, and they told us I can't work. It's unethical to be a therapist until they get us stabilised on medications, etc. So then what I decided to do, instead of just not working, is I thought I'm going to try and create something whereby I can do something which is more in alignment with being a single parent and having a mental health disorder like bipolar, which is why I thought YouTube would be a good shout. I actually tried other social media before this and I did a podcast for a bit. So yeah, I don't work because I'm not allowed to, and I decided to do this. But to be quite frank with you, I'm quite enjoying this, and I don't think I want to go back to being a therapist. I definitely want to do this. So yeah, anyways, that's my little story of how I'm not working and how I'm doing this. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who's joined today, and thanks for the donations. That's been really nice. If I've missed any comments or anyone wants any free support, go to my website, schoolofaddiction.co.uk. Although I'm not working, I am doing free one-to-ones with people because it's not a commitment to full therapy. It's not therapy, but I am still doing that for people. So do take us up on that offer if you need it. Oh, hi Oz, how you doing? Let's have the Serenity saying what you're addicted to. I was addicted to ketamine, but my psychiatrist said mind-altering substances. I was addicted to anything and everything that just give us a one-way ticket to planet off my nut. Oz, would you rather have short arms or long legs, or short legs and long arms? I would rather have long legs because I'm more of a guard player in jiu-jitsu. Right, anyways, I'll let you go, and thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon. Oh, and if anyone hasn't, give us a subscribe. That's a super cheap, free way to help everyone in help the channel and help me help people that I help. So yeah, that was a lot of words of help. Bye.